It's a daily thing. You know, the Keurig never has water in it. You know, you go to fill it from the Brita, it doesn't have that, and usually it's my fault. So, so yeah, that's me suffering through everything. But the idea was to kind of elevate these daily little atrocities to, you know, something huge in order to find the comedic value. So I had been thinking about this story for a while, but as always, you know, as independent filmmakers, money is always an issue. And so I was kind of hoping that I would eventually get to a point where I have the money to shoot it, because it, you know, even low-budget films still cost money. Okay, so here's the part of the story where everybody's going to go, okay, Keith, you just killed everybody's emotions. So my aunt was actually a survivor from 9/11. They actually pulled her out of the rubble of the South Tower on September 11th. And I used to tell her that September 11th was her second birthday. And so I would call her every year to tell her how glad I was that she was giving back to us. But September 11th, it took 20 years to kill her. The last 2 years of her life, she had brain cancer, and I took care of her, and it was all during COVID. And at the end of COVID, you know, at the end of this, as she was like, you know, we knew that it was only going to be a matter of a few weeks. She told me to take some money that she had and to make a film. And so I wanted to make a film that would actually make people laugh, because this part isn't really what people want, right? We have enough hardships in life. We need to actually focus on the things that make us happy, make us joyful, that are universal. Because Lord knows, you know, we get kicked in the teeth every day anyway, right? So that's the story of how the struggle came about. You know, this is something I've been thinking about, and when my aunt said that she was going to provide the money for me to shoot it, Michael Toto, who plays the husband, was somebody who was, I've known him from other film festivals, fantastic actor. I actually went to his house and dropped it in front of him, and I said, read that, and if you want to do this, let's get rolling. And from there, within a couple of weeks, we found Carol Ann, who plays the wife, who's absolutely amazing. We shot the film. Post-production was maybe another 2.5, 3 months, and that's what we have. So, yeah.
I try not to cry again. So basically, I'm originally a musician, and I spent my entire life making music. And in 2013, I went to Los Angeles to New York Film Academy to get the short course of screenwriting, because my first degree was journalism, and I was kind of involved in writing, and I made stories. So I spent this winter in Los Angeles writing some scripts, and it took me 10 years so to make the first movie, because I've been doing music and I've been doing production, some different YouTube shows in Russia. When the war starts, I left my country due to totalitarianism. So basically now I'm in UK. I got a global talent visa as a musician, and I got a independent filmmaking short course at Raindance. And Elliot Groove, he's a wonderful guy. He's running a Raindance Film Festival in London for the last 31 years, and he was my, you know, kind of teacher. And so I got 4 weeks to write a script, to film, to edit, and like for everything, and I had 0 budget. I got my huge Russian-speaking community in UK who helped me with everything. So basically, the first screening of this movie was at Raindance Film Festival last October, and I got very good reviews about the story. Okay, we have lots of issues with the, you know, editing and coloring and all sorts of craziness, but the story was really, it impressed people. So now I'm working on a feature film on this story, because I want to create the line which will help my sister to heal. It's basically. So basically, I just want to make a fairy tale, with a happy end. I want to make this in the movie, and I will hope that it will continue in the real life. So now I'm working on a documentary series about Russian refugees and immigrants all over the world. And yesterday I filmed a story about the girl who immigrated from Russia to Barcelona, and she's fighting with cancer. So I make a documentary movies every month. It's a YouTube channel called Cloud Russians. So now we try to create our community abroad. And so I just collecting stories about people and their lives, and soon I will get a break to finish my script with a BFI grant support.
I forgot the question, but I think I introduced the film. So if anybody has a specific question about the films, maybe we can use the time for...
The question was, how long was the process of your film?
Mine is more traditional approach. It was originally, as I mentioned before, the original idea was documentary research that I did with HIV patients that were being treated at the affection clinic. It was many years ago, over 15 years ago. I wasn't able to get complete funding for that one. So that was a documentary drama, so I ended up finding a screenwriter, and I said, this is all my research. I want a story about what these people are going through, but something that if we can keep HIV, so just so I can raise awareness in Macedonia and the prejudice, and just like everybody, and for the US people, when I talk, it's like, oh, what, HIV, it's not a big thing. I know, but it's completely opposite for the Balkans.
It's the forgotten epidemic.
Yes, and I, my screenwriter came up with the Sugar People story, the what if scenario that I think happens to everybody. Even somebody messaged on the group chat, hey, how do you approach somebody if you want to meet but you don't know? So, and even we can all relate. We all have that moment where your mind wanders and it's like, then 15 minutes later back to reality. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person, it could be a situation. But, and it's just kind of like dealing, a more positive way of dealing with yourself, with the situation. That was what the film was about. The script went through several changes from the original one, and it was a 6-day shoot in November, which is kind of bad because the day is really super short. And it took like several months for post-production, so it's more like classical, and got funding from the North Macedonian Film Agency, which helps when you have financing to actually pay a good crew.
So everyone, round of applause for them, please.